Move my furniture, my turn. This happened when I had only just moved from home and got my own place. Super proud of myself as I'd saved like a demon and bought, with mortgage, obviously, my first place. Lovely little 2-bed flat in a slightly rough area, but I loved it and it was all mine. My mum and stepdad came to visit for a few days a few months after I was settled in, nicely decorated in my style, all my own furniture. One of the evenings they stayed. I had to work a late shift. They planned to go out for dinner and to the pub and I left them to it. Came home at 11 p.m. and my mum had moved nearly all of the furniture around and all my books and kitchen stuff were moved to different shelves or cupboards. She even moved my bed in my room so when I opened the bedroom door it hit the bed. I was mad. So I angrily fixed what I could that night before going to bed. Spoke to her about it the next day, explained it's my home and I had it how I liked it, so stop please. I put everything else back, which took hours. She grumbled the whole time that it looked better her way. Their last day I nipped out to the shops to get us some nice bits for lunch and in the hour I was gone she'd done it again. Moved all my kitchen stuff around to where she liked it. Again I told her off, my house, my rules. She still maintained it was better her way and I should just let her crack on. Fine, I let her do what she wanted and put stuff back when they left. My revenge, I went to visit their house 6 months later and did it to her. She went out to work one day and I rearranged every bit of furniture I could by myself. Everything. Swapped the dining room and living room furniture over so you had to walk food through the living room and across the hallway to get to the dining room. Swapped their bedroom and guest room curtains over. The windows were different sizes so their now bedroom curtains were 2 foot too short. Even the pointless little things like moving the spoons to a different side of the drawer and moved every photo on the walls to a different wall. Rearranged the fridge. Took me 7 hours. My stepdad was home while I did it and laughed his head off the whole time. He refused to help but understood, so let me crack on. Neither me nor my stepdad said anything when she got home. We just sat watching TV, which was now in what was their dining room, and I asked her how was work. She didn't say a word. She walked round the house, taking it all in, for 20 minutes. Then came and sat down, looked at me and said, "Point taken." They'd put it back to how it was the next time I visited. We've not spoken of it since. Comment: during one of my mum's visits, she took it upon herself to clean up. My wife got home from work before I did, and one night, when I walked in, I could tell something was wrong by my wife's tight lips and deliberate movements. Oh, and the glaring eyes. My mum had rearranged the kitchen drawers, but there was a bunch of stuff she didn't know where to put. In our kitchen, we had one drawer that was the junk drawer. You probably have one in your house. Deck of cards? Junk drawer. Bamboo skewers? Junk drawer. $5 bill for a pizza delivery tip? Junk drawer. Apparently, Mum didn't know where all the stuff from the junk drawer was supposed to go, so it was sitting in a pile on the kitchen table. She said, "Oh, I cleaned up but I didn't know where this stuff goes." I opened up the junk drawer and took out whatever she had put in there, tea towels, I think, and then took the drawer over to the table, held it below the surface of the table and then swept everything into the drawer with my forearm. Then I shook the drawer to get everything to settle and put the drawer back into the cabinet. "Thanks, Mum. All of that stuff goes in that drawer right there, where you found it." This was your mother's version of marking her territory. Do it to your kid. You've got issues with them being an adult. Do it to your dill. It's basically a declaration of war. Do you have a secret little subreddit that is a favorite? Share it in the comments and it could become the next big thing. Payback for attacking a charity event. So I was not the one that came up with this idea, but I'm a benefactor of the situation. Every year there is a charity softball game held in our county with rotating beneficiaries. This year all money raised was to support individuals in the county with cancer. Not to pay direct medical bills but to assist with all the other costs such as travel expenses, lost wages, etc. There are lots of fundraising opportunities at this tournament, but it's just a one-day tournament, so it is strictly BYOB, as those running the tournament aren't going to get a liquor license. It's run this way every year. The complex this tournament is hosted at has concessions that are run independently from the tournament. This year the lady who runs concessions got something stuck up her back exit or something because she got peed off and called the cops saying that those running the tournament were selling beer without a license. This was not true, but news of the incident spread pretty far throughout the county. One of the guys, we'll call him Scott, who is one of the leaders for the tournament, was understandably furious, And so this week, there is another tournament being hosted at the same complex by a different organizer. The hosting team has ties to this lady that called the cops. So Scott is looking for a way to boycott this tournament, but realizes that having his team skip the tournament will be generally ineffective. So he comes up with this brilliant plan to hit him where it hurts. Scott and his team, who are sponsored by a local bar, go to every other team in the tournament and inform them they each have a $100 credit at the sponsor's bar, and requests teams don't hang out and buy beer at the tournament. The bar sponsoring Scott's team catches wind of this and decides to match the $100, giving each team a $200 tab to keep him from buying beer at the tournament. Edit. There was a great question. This tournament that we are boycotting is not a charity tournament. Profits from this tournament go to the team hosting the tournament and helps pay for tournament entry fees, hotel expenses for state, uniform expenses, etc. This lady is associated with the hosting team, and the team's manager is an out-of-touch D that refuses to listen to the input from the rest of the league and just bullies his way as commissioner. Whenever he goes to tournaments hosted by other teams, he always without fail refuses to pay the $2 gate fee, saying that the commissioner doesn't pay gate fees. As a note, these tournaments are not league-sponsored. Teams host them independently, and within the county teams just make it a priority to generally support other county teams by participating in such tournaments. Want to charge us extra for something that didn't happen? Have fun with your reviews tanking. This happened a few years ago. My GF at the time, now wife, and I used to vacation in Asheville, booking cabins through a rental company. She grew up there and loved it, plus she had friends, family in the area that we would visit while there. One of the rules the company had was that no extra guests were allowed to stay overnight, or there would be a fee. This rule never bothered us, as we never planned on having that. But we did invite a couple of my GF's friends over to hang out for a little while. They got there around 7 to 8 and stayed until about 11 p.m. before heading home. We finished the trip, had a great time, and went home thinking all was good. A couple days after we got home, I got an email from a woman in the rental company who claimed that their maintenance guy saw that we had people stay over, and we were being charged an extra $200 for breaking occupancy rules. Next came a back and forth between her and I, where I told them no one stayed overnight, and that they left around 1:30 to 11 p.m. But she claimed to me that occupancy is anyone being in the cabin at all, which made no sense. I looked up the legal definition of occupancy, which did not side with her, but she told me it didn't matter and they would charge me the extra $200. Cue the revenge. Between my GF and I, we got about 8 people with 20 different Google accounts, all leaving 1-star reviews on the company's Google page. This took their rating of around 4.4 all the way down to the mid 3 stars. It was a local company. Well, someone higher up must have gotten wind of this, and they knew exactly who did it. Within a couple hours, I got several emails from the original woman and her supervisor apologizing for the misunderstanding and asking how they could get us to take down the bad reviews. After telling them it was clearly not a misunderstanding, I told them to kick rocks since they wanted to treat us that way, and long story shorter than it could be, we ended up getting an offer of $200 off our next visit if we took the reviews down, and they obviously refunded me that extra $200 plus another $100 off that stay. Karen, I hope you understand what occupancy means now, if you still have a job. Swear and yell at my parents? I know how to mess with you. So this happened a few years ago. A quick setup first. Every year we have a family event in Ohio in August. It's in a small town with a big county fair around that time. My dad grew up in that town and my parents actually met at the fair. They both have family there even though my mum didn't grow up there. So needless to say, it's been kind of tradition to go every year even though we live in Wisconsin now, plus the fair is fun. They were staying at my aunt and uncle's house 20 minutes out of town, and I was to stay in my dad's high school buddy's house a block from the fairgrounds. Since I wanted a mode of transportation while I was there, I bought a motorcycle trailer and we trailered my Ducati down. Now comes the conflict. We stopped at a gas station, truck stop I think in Indiana. My dad put his truck and my trailer best he could out of the way so trucks could easily get in and out, and we were getting ready to head in for snacks, bathroom break, when a tractor trailer pulled in, went to spin around to back into a spot and stopped his truck right at the front bumper of our truck. Dude was fuming, couldn't hear what he was saying at first because he was in his truck. He eventually backed in and got out of the truck and approached our vehicle. Swearing, yelling, dropping F-bombs left and right about how my dad didn't know how to park, calling him every word in the book, and that my dad is in the way and how he couldn't back and right because he didn't have enough room to pull up. You know, nice guy. My dad pointed to the half a dozen plus open truck stalls just a few stalls down from where he eventually parked, where my dad's truck wouldn't be remotely in the way then, but I guess dude just had to park in that particular stall. I chimed in and said that, if he's too inept as a truck driver to back into a spot, I would be more than happy to show him how it's done, seeing as I have a Class A CDL and back hundreds of trailers a week in my current spotter job. Well, he wasn't too happy about that, but it got him to walk away back to his truck. Now the revenge. We finished everything up and was getting ready to head out. The truck driver finally walked into the gas station a couple minutes before we walked out, and I heard him under his breath still cursing out my dad, calling him obscenities and giving him the death glare. So before I walked back to our truck, I walked over to his truck and pulled his fifth wheel. F that guy. Edit: since many don't know what pulling the fifth wheel means, pulling the fifth wheel means to pull the handle that is located on the side of most trucks by the fifth wheel, which uncouples the truck from the trailer. It's honestly a real dick move, because if you don't do your inspection before you drive off and catch it, you can drop your trailer. Dropping your trailer is a big no-no and can easily get you fired. Share your story in the comments. I would love to add them to a video.